Okay, here we go. All right. I'm going to shut off this front light so the screen shows up a little better. A hill and a gondola line 20 feet above the ground that goes up the hill both have a slope of 1/2. What's the relationship between the gondola line and the hill? They both have a slope of 1/2. What type of lines are these? Parallel. So you can deduce that parallel lines have same slope. Good job. Good job. Good job. All right. They have different y-intercepts, but they have the same slope. They have the same slope, which it says right here. Okay, our theorem says two non-vertical lines are parallel if and only if their slopes are equal. So if their slopes are equal, they'll be parallel. If they're parallel, then their slopes will be equal. Okay, you can say it either way. So if we have two parallel lines, their slopes are going to be equal. If we have two lines where they have equal slopes, then the lines will be parallel. If we have two vertical lines, they will be parallel. What's the slope of a vertical line? Undefined. So we can't say it has a slope, so that's why they say if we have two vertical lines, then they will be parallel. Okay, so let's look. Are K and N parallel? Are K and N parallel? Let's see. K goes through this point right here, and it goes through this point right here. How do we find the slope? Slope is what over what? Rise over run. So I go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Run to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. The slope of K is -5/4. Let's look at N. N goes through this point and this point. So N goes down 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1, 2, 3. The slope of N is -4/3. Are they the same slope? No, they are not parallel. What about M and Q? Let me change colors here. Let's go bright green. Oop, that's too fat. M goes through this point and this point. So what's the slope of M? I go up. How far? 1. And I go to the right, how far? 3. 1/3 is my slope. Q. The slope of Q. I go up 2 to the right, how far? 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Are they the same slope? No. So there's no parallel lines in that picture. None. Are those two lines parallel? Well, N goes from there to there. What's the slope of N? 1/3. M goes there and there. What's the slope of M? Are they parallel? Yes. If you have the same slope, then they are parallel. Next thing. Perpendicular lines. Two non-vertical lines are perpendicular if and only if their product of their slope is -1. So if this line has a slope of like 4/3, this line would have a slope of like -3/4. What type of fractions are ones where they're flipped over? What's that magic word? Fractions that are flipped over from each other. Reciprocals. And this has a negative and this has a positive. So the slopes are opposite reciprocals. If the slopes are opposite reciprocals, then they're perpendicular. Opposite reciprocals. Okay? The slopes are opposite reciprocals, or if they multiply to be -1, then they're perpendicular. Or if one is vertical and one is horizontal, then they're perpendicular. Because you can't multiply the slope of undefined and 1 or in 0 together to get -1. So if one is horizontal and one is vertical, then they're perpendicular. Where here, if their slopes are opposite reciprocals, or if you multiply their slopes to be -1, then they're perpendicular. Okay? So, now we're going to look at this. J and K. K is right here. It goes through here, and it goes through here. What's the slope of K? 2/3. It goes up 2, to the right 3. J. J goes through here, and J go through here. What's the slope of J? -3/2. Are K and J perpendicular? Yes. K is perpendicular to J. So if you see an upside down T, the upside down T says that they are perpendicular. This is a symbol for perpendicular. K is perpendicular to J. All right. Well, let's change colors to blue. And let's look at L and H. L goes through here and here. What's the slope of L? Well, we go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the right, 2. So the slope is 5/2. All right, H, the slope of H. All right, H goes through there, and boy, where does it go through besides that? I don't know where it goes through for sure. It just misses here. It just misses here. I don't know where it goes through. Let's just say it happens to hit here. What would be the slope of H? -2/3. Are they opposite reciprocals? No. So L and H are not perpendicular. They are not perpendicular. How about these two? Are these perpendicular? Well, we go through here. We go through here. What's the slope of N? What's the slope of N? -4/1, which is -4. Remember to simplify. M goes through here, goes through here. What's the slope of M? 1/3. Are they opposite reciprocals? No. Are they perpendicular? No. They're not perpendicular. Okay, writing equations. Some of you bombed out on that slope worksheet, so we need to do better. Okay, if I want to be parallel to L, it has to be what type of slope compared to L? If we're parallel, it's the same or opposite reciprocal? Same. What's the slope of L, Jordan? You can't read that far? No? Yeah, you need glasses on. It is 1/2. It is 1/2, the number in front of X. Okay? Now, we want a line parallel that goes through 4, 1. So we go y equals mx plus b. What's the y of my point, Quinn? 1. What's my m? 1/2. What's my x? 4 plus b. So then all I have to figure out is what b is. Y equals mx plus b. 1 equals 1/2 times 4 plus b. So 1, what's half of 4, everyone? 2 plus b. If we subtract 2, b equals -1. So then I rewrite my equation. Y equals mx plus b plus a -1 is the same as -1. That's how to write an equation in y equals mx plus b form. And we're going to do a little more practice on that in a few seconds. Okay, because we're going to do this again. But what is today's lesson about? It's about slopes of parallel and perpendicular lines. If they have the same slope, they're parallel. If they have opposite reciprocal slopes that multiply to be -1, they're perpendicular. Okay? But we need more practice at lines. So let's say we have a line 2x plus 3y equals 10. And I want to go parallel to it through the point 5, 2. I want to be parallel to this line and go through this point. And guess what? We might have ugly fractions. Okay? How do I find the slope of this line? What do you have to do to find slope? Get what alone? Y. What's my first step of getting y alone, Ian? My first step of getting y alone. Not first step. That's the second step. What's the first step of getting y alone? So if I'm not getting rid of the 3, what else do I have to get rid of from that side? 2x. How do I move that 2x, Albert? Subtract 2x. So 3y equals -2x plus 10. Now, I got to do what Ian said. I got to get rid of that 3. What do you do, Justin, to get rid of the 3? If it's 3 times y to get rid of it, I would divide. So y equals -2/3 x plus 10/3. All right, so what's my slope, Albert? -2/3. And I have this as a point. So if I go y equals mx plus b, what's my y, James? What's my slope? -2/3. What's my x? 5 plus b. So 2 equals 5 times 2/3. Is 5 times 2/3 -10/15? No, don't do that. 5 is really 5 over 1, right? So you take top times top, bottom times bottom. So 5 times -2/3 is 5 times -2, which is -10. 1 times 3, which is 3 plus b. So to get b alone, what do I have to do to each side, Cade? I want to get b alone. Subtract. -10/3. Are you sure you meant add?
No. Subtract.
No, you meant add. Just playing with your mind there, buddy.
Yeah, you are playing.
Okay. So you add 10/3 to each side. Now, most of you would grab out your handy dandy calculator to do this. But if we didn't have a handy dandy calculator, how many thirds is 2? 6/3. 6/3 is the same as 2, right? So you take 6/3 plus 10/3 is 16/3. And we're going to leave it as an improper fraction when you do your homework. You will have ugly problems like this on your homework. That's why we're doing this now. Okay? So your answer is y equals, your slope is -2/3 x plus 16/3. Okay? So you will have an ugly problem like that on your homework. So you need to be ready to work with fractions. Okay, let's do another one. Let's take the same problem. 2x plus 3y equals 10. And this time I want to go perpendicular through the point 5, 2. So we're going to go perpendicular to this line through that point. So first thing is I have to find the what of this line? The slope. To find the slope, I'm going to subtract 2x. So 3y equals negative 2x plus 10. And then I'm going to divide by 3. So y equals negative 2/3 x plus 10/3. Levi, what's the slope of this line right here? 3? No, not 3. Slope is the number in front of x. What's our number in front of x? Not just 2/3, but no, not just 2/3, but what's this thing? Levi, what's this thing? Negative 2/3. Thank you. So the slope of this line is negative 2/3. But I don't want that slope. I want the slope of my perpendicular. So a perpendicular slope is the what of negative 2/3? The opposite reciprocal. What's the opposite reciprocal of negative 2/3? Positive 3/2. Here's my slope. Here's my point. The book if you do view an example, when you do your homework, they're going to take you through point slope form. I'm not showing you point slope form. I'm showing you y equals mx plus b. So you might be totally confused by what they do compared to what we're doing in class here. We're doing the very basic y equals mx plus b. Why? Because that's the way Mr. Hodgson does it. So since Mr. Hodgson does it that way, I'm going to do it that way at the start with you guys. Now later in the year, we might do point slope form. But right now, we're doing y equals mx plus b because it's simpler. Okay, y. What's my y? 2 equals m, 3/2, times x, 5, plus b. So what's 5 times 3/2? Is it 15/10? No. It's 5 times 3, which is 15/2. How do I get b alone? Subtract 15/2. 2 is the same as 4/2. Minus 15/2 is negative 11/2 equals b. So my final equation is y equals 3/2 x minus 11/2. Okay? Writing equations is the toughest part of what we're doing in this whole chapter. Okay? And we only have to write one equation for the test. Okay? So what are we doing today in class? Well, today you're doing you go out to Google Classroom and you do section 2-4, and there's like 14 problems for you to do, and you're going to do the practice test, because what is on Thursday in here? The chapter 2 test. So you do the practice test today. We will go over the practice test Thursday before we take the test. So we will go over all the answers for the practice test before we take the test, and then we'll take the test on Thursday. Okay, you're